The Imperium does not kill people quickly, it repurposes them. There is a word they use in the Administratum buried in subsection 47 of the Codex Laborum: reconstitution. It sounds clean, it sounds merciful even, as if something broken is being made whole again. The truth is simpler and more terrible. When the Imperium decides you have value but no rights, when your body becomes more useful than your soul, you are reconstituted. You are rendered down. You become a servitor. This is not a punishment reserved for the wicked. It is not a fate that finds only traitors and heretics. It is an industrial process, vast and indifferent, that feeds on criminals and debtors and the merely inconvenient. The Imperium has trillions of souls. It cannot care about all of them. It can barely care about any of them. But it can use them. This is how it works. On every world of the Imperium, there exists a mechanism for measuring human worth. It is not written in one place. It is not taught in academies. It is practiced, inherited, enacted by bureaucrats who have never questioned it because it has always been this way. You are born into it. Your value is assessed before you speak your first word. Are you healthy? Are you strong? Can you work? Can you breed? Can you hold a lasgun? These questions determine the shape of your life. If the answers are favorable, you are directed into service. You become a laborer, a soldier, a clerk, a mother of soldiers. You are useful. If the answers are not favorable, or if you become inconvenient, the Imperium has another use for you. The Adeptus Mechanicus requires servitors, billions of them. They are the hands that load cargo, the eyes that watch corridors, the arms that lift ammunition, the backs that bear burdens no human should carry for long. They do not tire. They do not complain. They do not dream of better circumstances. They are flesh fused with machine, lobotomized, programmed, made docile. They are the perfect workers. The Mechanicus does not grow servitors. They are not born in vats. They are made from people. The process begins with selection. On every imperial world, there are lists. The lists are maintained by the Arbites, by the Administratum, by the planetary governors and their endless hierarchies of clerks. Some names are placed on the list because of crimes: theft, sedition, murder, heresy. These are easy to justify. The guilty have forfeited their rights. But many names are added for lesser reasons. Debt, for instance. The Imperium does not forgive debt. If you cannot repay what you owe, your body is collateral. If you are injured and cannot work, your flesh is reclaimed. If you are old and the manufactorums have no need of you, your mind is wiped and your limbs are refitted. If you are simply in the wrong place when a tithe is called, when a forge world demands more servitors, when a shipment must be filled, your name goes on the list. No one protests. Protest is heresy. Protest is ingratitude. The Imperium gave you life. The Imperium gave you purpose. If it now requires your body for a higher function, you should be honored. The lists are transmitted to the Mechanicus. They arrive in data scrolls wrapped in red wax, approved by Administratum seals, blessed by the Ecclesiarchy. By the time your name appears, you are already gone. You are no longer a person with rights. You are a resource allocation. You are collected. The collection process varies by world. On some planets, the Arbids arrive in the night, their transports rumbling through hab blocks like iron predators. On others, collection happens in daylight, publicly, as a reminder to all who watch. The method does not matter. The result is always the same. The Mechanicus has facilities on every major world. They are called processing stations, or reconstitution temples, or sanctums of the blessed machine. The names change, the purpose does not. Within those walls, people are disassembled and remade. The process is sacred to the tech priests. It is blessed. It is holy work. To everyone else, it is simply where people disappear. The facilities are enormous. They must be. On a hive world, thousands might be processed in a single day. The Mechanicus is efficient. They have refined the procedure over millennia. From arrival to completion, a servitor can be made in as little as 6 hours. More complex variants take longer. Combat servitors, medical servitors, specialized units, these require additional modifications, additional programming. But the basic labor servitor, the most common type, is almost routine. The Mechanicus maintains detailed records. Every servitor is cataloged, its origin, its modifications, its assigned function. These records are stored in vast data crypts beneath the facilities, guarded by servitors who were once archivists. There is an irony in this that no one acknowledges. The people who recorded the names are now servitors themselves, still performing their function, still maintaining the lists that include their own designations. The system is self-sustaining. It feeds on itself. It requires servitors to make servitors. It requires people to process people. And it never stops. It cannot stop. The Imperium's needs are endless. The Forge World's hunger for workers, the battlefield's hunger for gun servitors, the ship's hunger for crew, the Mechanicus' hunger for components, and there are always more people. His name was Tobin Vex. He was 34 years old. He worked in Hive Cities in the mid-levels in a textile manufactorum that produced uniforms for the Astra Militarum. He had worked there since he was 12. His hands were scarred from the looms. His lungs were gray from the air. His spine curved from years of bending over spinning wheels. He was neither good nor bad. He did not attend Mass as often as he should, but he mouthed the prayers when the overseers passed. He did not love the Emperor with the fervor of a saint, but he did not question his divinity. He wanted only small things: enough food, a few hours of sleep, a woman who might one day bear his children, if he could afford the marriage tax. His Hab unit was on level 47. It was a single room, 3 meters by 4, shared with 2 other workers from different shifts. They rarely saw each other. The room contained 3 cots, a shared water basin, and a small shrine to the Emperor. The shrine was dusty. Tobin tried to remember to light the candle, but he was often too tired. He had been born in the Underhive. His mother had worked in the same manufactorum. She had died when he was 8, crushed by a falling loom that had not been properly maintained. The overseers had given her body to the ecclesiarchy. They said she would be honored. Tobin never learned what that meant. He never saw her again. His father had disappeared 2 years later. Tobin came home one day to find the Hab unit empty. No note, no explanation. The other workers said the Arbates had taken him. Someone said he had been caught stealing. Someone else said he had simply been in the wrong place when a tithe was called. Tobin never found out. He was 10 years old. He learned not to ask questions. He raised himself after that. The manufactorum kept him because he could work. They fed him enough to keep him functional. They gave him a cot in the workers' barracks. They taught him the looms. He was good at it. His hands were quick. His mind was patient. He could watch the threads for hours, catching tangles before they became tears, maintaining tension, keeping rhythm. He had been happy, in the way that someone who has never known better can be happy. He had work. He had food. He had a place to sleep. These were not small things. These were everything. He had been late to his shift 3 times that month, not by much. 15 minutes, 20. Once, nearly an hour, because the lift from his Hab block had broken and he'd had to climb 40 floors. He had explained this to his overseer, a man named Corvus, who had worked the manufactorum for 30 years. Corvus had noted it in his ledger. He had not been unkind about it. He had simply written it down. Tobin thought nothing of it. Everyone was late sometimes. The lifts broke. The corridors flooded. The power failed. These were the rhythms of Hive life. You adapted. You survived. 2 weeks later, the Arbites came. They arrived at the end of his shift, when the workers were cleaning their stations, preparing for the night crew. Tobin was coiling thread, his hands moving automatically, his mind already drifting toward sleep. He heard the doors open, heard the heavy tread of boots on metal. Everyone stopped working. The sound of the looms died. In the sudden silence, you could hear the Arbites breathing through their helmet respirators. There were 6 of them, armored in black, faces hidden behind helmets that reflected nothing. They did not speak to anyone. They simply moved through the manufactorum, scanning workers, checking data slates. Tobin watched them. Everyone watched them. No one moved. One of them stopped in front of Tobin, raised a scanner. A red light swept across his face, his chest, his ident chip embedded beneath the skin of his wrist. The Arbite checked his data slate, nodded to the others. Tobin Vex, you are summoned for reconstitution. Come. The words were flat, mechanical. There was no emotion in them, no judgment, no malice, just a statement of fact. Tobin did not understand. He looked at the Arbite, looked at the Overseer. Corvus would not meet his eyes. What did I do? Tobin asked. His voice was small. He hated how small it sounded. The Arbite did not answer. One of them placed a hand on Tobin's shoulder. It was not rough, it was not gentle, it was simply there, heavy and final. A weight that could not be moved. "Come," the Arbite repeated. Tobin tried to pull away. The hand tightened, not painfully, just enough to remind him that resistance was pointless. Another Arbite produced a set of restraints. They were not shackles, they were magnetic cuffs, simple and efficient. They locked around his wrists with a soft click. "There's been a mistake," Tobin said. He was speaking faster now, his heart hammering. "I didn't do anything. I was late a few times, but the lift broke. I had to." "Come," the Arbite said again. That was all. Just that one word, repeated like a prayer. Tobin looked around the Manufactorum, looked at the other workers. They had returned to their stations. The looms were starting again. Already the sound was rising, filling the space, drowning out his voice. No one looked at him. No one asked questions. They had seen this before. They would see it again. The Imperium took people. It had always taken people. You kept your head down and hoped your name was not called. Corvus was standing by his desk, writing in his ledger. He did not look up. Tobin tried to catch his eye, tried to say something, but the Arbites were already moving him toward the doors. His feet stumbled. The magnetic cuffs made it hard to balance. He felt like a child being led by adults who would not explain where they were going. The doors opened. The corridor beyond was dark and cold. The Arbites led him forward, and the doors closed behind him, and the sound of the looms faded, and then there was only the echo of boots on metal and the sound of his own breathing, too fast, too loud. He wanted to ask where they were taking him. He wanted to beg. He wanted to scream. But something in the silence of the Arbites, in the weight of their hands, in the inevitability of their movements, told him it would not matter, so he said nothing. He walked, and he tried not to think about his mother, crushed by a loom, tried not to think about his father, taken by the Arbites, tried not to think about what reconstitution meant. But he knew, everyone knew. You did not talk about it, you did not think about it, but you knew. They were going to make him into a servitor. The transport was waiting at the edge of the Manufactorum district. It was a bulk hauler, the kind used for moving cargo. The back was open, a dark mouth lit by flickering lumen strips. There were others inside. Tobin could see them as he was led up the ramp. 11 people, sitting on benches that ran along the walls. Some were in workers' clothes like his. Some were in the rags of the underhive. One woman wore the robes of a minor scribe. One man was naked except for bandages, his body covered in burns. The Arbites pushed Tobin inside. He stumbled, caught himself on one of the benches. The magnetic cuffs were released. The Arbites turned and left without a word. The ramp closed behind them. The transport shuddered and began to move. Tobin found a space on the bench, sat down, looked at the others. No one spoke. Some stared at the floor. Some stared at nothing. The woman in scribe's robes was praying, her lips moving silently, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. The burned man was laughing, a sound like glass breaking, until a servitor approached from the front of the transport and injected something into his neck. The laughter stopped. The man slumped forward, his eyes open but empty. Tobin looked at the servitor. It was a simple model, a labor variant with hydraulic arms and a blank metal face. It moved back to its station at the front of the transport and stood there, motionless, waiting. Tobin wondered if it had been a person once. If it had sat on this same bench, being carried to the same place. If it remembered, he looked away, looked at his hands. They were still trembling. He tried to steady them, tried to think. There had to be a mistake. He had done nothing wrong. Being late was not a crime. It was barely an infraction. People were late all the time. The Manufactorum had never disciplined him. Corvus had never said anything. There had been no warning, no hearing, no chance to explain. But the Arbites had his name. They had known exactly where to find him. Someone had put his name on a list. Someone had decided he was no longer useful as he was. He tried to remember if he had offended someone, if he had said something unwise, if he had failed to attend a mass, if he had been seen with the wrong people. He came up with nothing. He had lived a small life. He had tried to be invisible. He had thought that would be enough. It was not enough. It had never been enough. The transport moved through the hive. Tobin could not see outside, but he could feel the turns, the stops, the long descents into lower levels. The journey took hours. No one spoke. The servitor did not move. The lights flickered. The air grew colder. Finally, the transport stopped. The ramp opened. Light flooded in, harsh and white. Tobin squinted against it. Shadowy figures moved in the brightness. He heard voices, speaking in a language he did not understand. Binaric, the cant of the Mechanicus, the servitor moved forward, gesturing for them to follow. The people on the benches rose, moving like sleepwalkers. Tobin rose with them. His legs felt weak. He walked down the ramp into the light, into the waiting hands of the Mechanicus. The last thing he saw before the doors closed behind him was the sky, or what passed for sky in the Hive. A strip of gray between the towers, choked with smog. He had never been outside. He had lived his entire life in the mid-levels. He had dreamed sometimes of seeing real sky, real stars. He would never see them now. The error was not his, it was clerical. In the Administratum archive of Hive Tertius on sublevel 93, in a chamber filled with data stacks that reached the ceiling, a scribe named Hieronymus Dalt had been assigned to reconcile labor efficiency reports with tithe projections. It was tedious work. It required concentration. Hieronymus had been awake for 16 hours. His eyes ached, his fingers cramped. The quill he used to annotate reports had worn a callus on his middle finger that sometimes bled. He was 42 years old. He had been a scribe for 30 years. He had transcribed millions of documents. He had filed billions of data points. His life was numbers and ledgers and the endless reconciliation of imperial bureaucracy. He was good at his job. He had never made a significant error. He had been commended twice for his diligence. He took pride in this. It was all he had. He had been reviewing the records from Manufactorum 6 when he noticed a discrepancy. The output had fallen by 3% over the last quarter. This was not acceptable. The Manufactorum was required to meet its quota. If it did not, the Administratum would be held accountable. Hieronymus would be held accountable. His superiors did not accept excuses. They accepted results. He cross-referenced the personnel logs, looking for the cause. He saw that worker attendance had declined. Several individuals had accumulated multiple tardiness infractions. This was unusual. The Manufactorum was generally well run. He looked deeper. He found that the lift system in the worker hab blocks had been experiencing failures. Maintenance requests had been filed. They had not been approved. The budget allocation for repairs had been delayed pending review by a committee that met quarterly. Hieronymus made a note of this. The lift failures were not the workers' fault. They should not be penalized. But the output had still fallen. The quota had not been met. Something had to be done. He reviewed the options. He could recommend increased shifts, but that would require additional resources. He could recommend disciplinary action against the maintenance department, but that would require an investigation, forms, committees. It would take months. The quota needed to be met now. There was another option. It was listed in the Codex Laborum, subsection 47, paragraph 12. When worker efficiency falls below acceptable thresholds due to repeated infractions, reconstitution may be authorized to improve overall productivity and maintain discipline standards. It was a reasonable solution. It was, in fact, the recommended solution. Hieronymus had used it before. It was efficient. It required only a single requisition form. The approval process was streamlined. The Mechanicus was always grateful for additional subjects. They would process the workers quickly. Replacement workers would be assigned. The quota would be met. He prepared the requisition. He listed the workers who had been marked for excessive tardiness. There were 14 names. Tobin Vex was among them. Hieronymus did not know him. He had never met him. To Hieronymus, he was simply a data point. Worker designation HT 47-9281, 3 infractions, tardy. But Hieronymus noted the approval in his ledger. He filed the requisition in the appropriate archive. He moved on to the next discrepancy. He did not think about the 14 names. He did not think about where they would go, what would happen to them. That was not his concern. His concern was the numbers, the quotas, the smooth functioning of the Imperium's machinery. He worked for another 6 hours. Then he returned to his hab unit, a space barely larger than Tobin Vex's, ate a ration bar, said his prayers, and slept. He dreamed of nothing. When he woke, he returned to his desk. There were more reports to reconcile, more discrepancies to address, more numbers that did not align. He never thought about Tobin Vex again, but the requisition remained. Filed in Archive Section 47J, subsection Gamma, Stack 1847, Document 298,441. If someone were to look for it, they would find it there. They would see the names. They would see the approval stamp. They would see that everything was done correctly, according to procedure, according to the Codex Laborum. They would see that no one had done anything wrong. The system had simply worked as intended. The Mechanicus facility was built into the Hive's lower levels, where the air was thick with industrial runoff, and the walls wept condensation that smelled of metal and oil. It was called Reconstitution Temple Primus. The name was carved above the entrance in High Gothic, the letters 10 meters tall, corroded green with age. Inside, the facility was vast. It stretched across 3 levels, connected by lifts and conveyors that moved materials and subjects from one processing stage to the next. The walls were lined with pipes that hissed and clanked. The floors were grated metal, and through the grates you could see machinery moving in the depths below, incomprehensible and constant. Tobin and the others were led into a receiving chamber. It was a wide space, lit by harsh white lumen strips that made everything look flat and lifeless. The walls were bare except for a single icon of the Mechanicus, the skull and cog, rendered in brass, watching over the room with empty eyes. Tech priests moved through the chamber, robed in red, their faces hidden behind masks and augments. They did not speak to the subjects. They spoke only to each other, in binaric, their voices clicking and buzzing like insects. Servitors moved among them, silent and efficient, carrying data slates and medical equipment. The subjects were lined up against one wall. A tech priest approached each one in turn, scanning them with a handheld device, taking samples of blood, checking responses. When the tech priest reached Tobin, he felt the device press against his forehead, cold and intrusive. A needle pierced his arm. He flinched. The tech priest did not acknowledge it. After the examinations, they were sorted. Some of the subjects were led away immediately. Others, including Tobin, were directed to a holding area, a large room with benches and a single servitor standing guard. The door sealed behind them. The room was cold. There were no windows. The only sound was the hum of machinery somewhere distant. Tobin sat on a bench. The woman in scribe's robe sat across from him. She had stopped praying. Her hands lay limp in her lap. Her eyes were red. "Do you know what they're going to do to us?" she asked. Her voice was hoarse, as if she had been screaming. Tobin did not answer. He did not know what to say. He did know. Everyone knew. But saying it aloud made it, "They're going to cut us open," she continued. Her voice was calm now, distant. "They're going to take our minds, replace them with machines. We'll still be alive, but we won't be us anymore." Tobin looked at his hands. He thought about his mother, crushed by a loom. He thought about his father, taken by the Arbites. He wondered if his father had been brought here, if he had become a servitor, if Tobin had walked past him 1,000 times in the Manufactorum and never known. "Maybe it won't hurt," Tobin said. He did not believe it, but he wanted to believe it. The woman laughed. It was a terrible sound. "It doesn't matter if it hurts, we won't remember." She was right. Tobin knew she was right, but some part of him, some stubborn animal part, refused to accept it. He was alive. He was thinking. He was himself. That had to mean something. That had to matter. It did not matter. The door opened. A tech priest entered, flanked by 2 servitors. The tech priest pointed at Tobin. The servitors moved forward, their footsteps clanking on the metal floor. They took him by the arms, their grip firm but not cruel. He did not resist. There was no point in resisting. As they let him out, he looked back at the woman. She was watching him. Her face was blank. She did not say anything. Neither did he. There was nothing left to say. Tobin was brought to a preparation chamber. It was a small room, sterile and white, with a metal table in the center. The servitors lifted him onto the table, straps locked around his wrists, his ankles, his chest. He lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying not to think. A tech priest entered. This one was different from the others. Older, perhaps, more augmented. Half of the priest's face was metal, one eye replaced by a glowing red lens. Mechadendrites extended from the priest's back, writhing slowly like the tentacles of some mechanical sea creature. The tech priest approached the table, looked down at Tobin, the red lens focused, adjusted, analyzed. Subject HT479281, the tech priest said. The voice was flat, emotionless, filtered through a Vox grill. Reconstitution authorized. Labor variant, Class 3. Neural excision, spinal reinforcement, augment package 7 alpha. Blessed work begins. Tobin tried to speak. His mouth was dry. His voice cracked. Please, there's been a mistake. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just... The tech priest was not listening. One of the mechadendrites moved forward, holding a syringe. It pressed against Tobin's neck. He felt a coldness spreading through his veins. His vision blurred. The world began to recede, growing distant and gray. He tried to fight it, tried to hold on to himself, tried to remember his name, his life, the things that made him real. But the coldness was everywhere now, filling him, erasing him. His thoughts slowed, fragmented, became nothing. The last thing he saw was the tech priest's red lens, staring down at him like a mechanical god. The last thing he heard was the priest's voice, chanting in binaric, a prayer to the Omnissiah. Then there was nothing. The procedure takes 6 hours. First, the subject is rendered unconscious. This is not mercy. It is efficiency. A conscious subject struggles, and struggle damages the flesh. The Mechanicus requires the flesh to be intact for integration. Second, the head is shaved and sterilized. Incisions are made in the skull, precise and measured. The bone is cut away with laser saws, exposing the brain beneath. The brain is pink and gray and glistening. It pulses slightly with the subject's heartbeat. It is the seat of the person. It is the thing that makes them human. It will not remain that way for long. Third, the lobotomy begins. This is the most delicate part of the process. The tech priests use neural probes, guided by scanners, to identify specific regions of the brain: the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, the hippocampus. These are the areas responsible for personality, memory, emotion. These are the areas that make a person who they are. They are not needed. A servitor does not require personality. It does not require memory. It does not require emotion. These things are distractions. They interfere with function. They make the servitor inefficient, and so they are removed. The neural probes emit focused pulses of energy. The tissue burns away, cell by cell, leaving only charred pathways where thoughts once lived. The process is precise. Too much damage and the servitor will be non-functional. Too little, and traces of the person may remain, causing unpredictable behavior. The tech priests have refined this process over 10,000 years. They know exactly how much to remove. They know exactly what to leave behind. The motor cortex, which controls movement, the brainstem, which controls breathing and heartbeat, the regions responsible for basic stimulus response. These are preserved. Everything else is burned away. When the lobotomy is complete, the subject is no longer a person. Biologically, they are still alive. Their heart beats, their lungs breathe, but the thing that made them human is gone. What remains is a platform, a blank slate, ready to be programmed. Fourth, the augmentation begins. This varies depending on the servitor's intended function. For Tobin Vex, designated as a labor servitor, the modifications are extensive. His spine is opened. Reinforcement struts are grafted to the vertebrae, enhancing load-bearing capacity. His muscles are injected with synthetic fibers, increasing strength. His arms are removed at the shoulder and replaced with hydraulic lifting claws, each capable of gripping 200 kilograms. His legs are removed at the knee. The stumps are fitted with maglock treads, allowing him to move across metal surfaces without slipping. His eyes are removed. They are replaced with optical sensors, simple things that can detect light and movement, but nothing more. His face is covered with a rebreather, a metal mask that hisses with each artificial breath. His skin is pale and bloodless where it remains visible. His body is a patchwork of flesh and steel, held together by surgical staples and blessed oils. Fifth, the programming. A neural shunt is implanted in the base of the skull, connected directly to the brainstem. Through this shunt, commands are uploaded. Protocols, routines, instructions: lift, carry, move, stop, repeat. The servitor does not learn these commands. It does not understand them. It simply executes them. The neural shunt bypasses consciousness entirely. The commands go directly from input to motor function without thought, without hesitation. The servitor is not obeying, it is simply operating. Sixth, the testing. The servitor is activated. It is given simple commands to verify functionality. Lift this crate, move it there, set it down, return to starting position. The The servitor complies. Its movements are smooth, mechanical, precise. It does not hesitate, it does not question, it simply performs. The tech priest observes, checking readings on a data slate. The servitor's vital signs are stable, its augments are functioning within acceptable parameters. Its neural shunt is responsive. It is a success. The tech priest makes the sign of the cog, murmurs a blessing. Blessed is the Omnissiah, blessed is the machine, blessed is the servitor, for it serves without question. The servitor does not react to the blessing. It stands motionless, waiting for its next command. It will wait forever, if necessary. It has nothing else to do. It has no desires, no goals, no purpose except to serve. Tobin Vex is gone. In his place is Servitor Unit HT-47-9281L3. It is designated for cargo duties aboard transport vessel Redemption's Wait. It will be shipped out within the week. No one will ask where it came from. No one will wonder who it was. It is simply another servitor, one of billions, performing its function in the vast machinery of the Imperium. And somewhere in the archives of the Mechanicus, a record is made. Subject processed successfully. Unit functional. Tithe fulfilled. The system continues. Hieronymus Dalt did not think about the requisition for 6 years. He continued his work. He reconciled reports. He filed data. He identified discrepancies and corrected them. He submitted requisitions when necessary. Over those 6 years, he signed hundreds of such documents. Names became numbers. Numbers became abstractions. The work consumed him. It was all he knew. He was promoted. Not significantly, but enough. He was given a slightly larger desk, a slightly better HAB unit. He was commended again for his efficiency. His superiors valued him. He was reliable. He was thorough. He never questioned. He simply worked. One day he was assigned to audit a transport vessel, the Redemption's Wait, a bulk hauler that carried supplies between Hive Cities and the forge world of Metallica. It was a routine inspection. The ship had been flagged for inventory discrepancies. Hieronymus was to board the vessel, review the cargo manifests, and identify the source of the errors. He arrived at the orbital dock, was cleared by security, and boarded the ship. It was massive, a hulking thing of rust and iron that groaned as it moved through space. The crew were surly and exhausted, their faces gray from recycled air. They led him to the cargo holds without comment. The holds were vast caverns of metal, filled with crates stacked 20 meters high. Servitors moved through the space, lifting and carrying, their movements precise and tireless. Hieronymus walked among them, checking his data slate, counting crates, verifying contents. He did not look at the servitors. They were part of the machinery, no more interesting than the cranes or the conveyors. He had seen thousands of servitors. They were ubiquitous. They were background noise. Then one of them malfunctioned. It was a labor servitor, similar in design to all the others. It had been carrying a crate when something in its leg tread seized. The servitor stumbled, the crate slipping from its claws. It fell with a crash that echoed through the hold. The servitor tried to rise, tried to continue its task, but the damaged tread would not grip. It dragged itself forward, one leg sparking, leaving a trail of oil and hydraulic fluid. A crew member cursed and called for a tech priest. Hieronymus stepped aside, watching. The servitor was still trying to complete its task. It had reached the spot where the crate had fallen. It was attempting to lift it again, but its claws were misaligned, its strength failing. The crate would not budge. The tech priest arrived, a junior adept with a toolkit and a handheld scanner. He examined the servitor, muttered in binaric, and shook his head. "Unit is compromised," the tech priest said. "Structural failure in locomotion apparatus. Repair cost exceeds replacement value. Mark for disposal." The crew member nodded. 2 other servitors approached, lifted the damaged unit by its arms, and carried it toward a disposal chute at the far end of the hold. The damaged servitor did not resist. It did not protest. It simply hung between them, its optical sensors flickering, its rebreather still hissing. Hieronymus watched them go. He found himself following. He did not know why. It was not his concern. His audit was not complete. He had work to do. But something drew him forward, some impulse he did not understand. He reached the disposal chute as the servitors were preparing to load their damaged counterpart. The chute led to the ship's incinerators, where waste was burned and ejected into space. It was efficient. It was how the Imperium disposed of things that were no longer useful. Hieronymus looked at the damaged servitor, really looked at it for the first time. He saw the lifting claws, the reinforced spine, the maglock treads. He saw the rebreather, the optical sensors, the pale flesh visible between the augments. He saw the designation stamped on its chest plate. HT 479281L3. Hive Cities. Hieronymus felt something cold move through him. He pulled out his data slate, accessed the archives, searched for the designation. The file appeared. Subject processed 6 years ago. Requisition approved by scribe Hieronymus Dalt. Original designation Worker HT 479281. Original name Tobin Vex. He stared at the screen, stared at the servitor. The servitor's optical sensors flickered, tracking movement but seeing nothing. Its rebreather hissed. Its body hung limp between the other servitors, broken and useless. This had been a person once, a worker, someone who had been late to their shift, someone whose name Hieronymus had written on a requisition form 6 years ago, someone who had been taken, processed, turned into this thing, and now it was being thrown away. Hieronymus opened his mouth. He wanted to say something. He wanted to stop this. He wanted to... What? What could he possibly do? The servitor was broken. It could not be repaired economically. It had to be disposed of. This was procedure. This was how things worked. He knew this. He had always known this, but he had never seen it before. Not like this. Not standing here, looking at the thing he had helped create, watching it be discarded like garbage. The other servitors loaded the damaged unit into the chute. It slid down into darkness. There was a distant roar as the incinerators activated. Then nothing. Hieronymus stood there for a long time. The cargo hold continued its work around him. Servitors moved. Crates were lifted. The ship groaned and shifted. Everything continued as it always had. He returned to his audit. He completed his work. He filed his report. He noted the inventory discrepancies, a clerical error in the manifests, easily corrected. He returned to Hive Cities. He returned to his desk. He continued his work. He reconciled reports. He filed data. He submitted requisitions when necessary. But something had changed, not in the system. The system remained the same. It would always remain the same. But something in Hieronymus had shifted, some understanding he could not articulate. He had always known what the requisitions meant. He had always known where the people went. But knowing and seeing were different things. Knowing was abstract. Seeing was real. He thought about Tobin Vex, tried to imagine him. A worker, 34 years old, late to his shift 3 times. That was all. That was enough. Hieronymus wondered if Tobin had been a good person. If he had family, if he had dreams. If he had wanted more from life than the looms and the manufactorum and the endless gray sameness of the hive. It did not matter. It had never mattered. Tobin Vex had been a data point, a number in a ledger, an inefficiency to be corrected, and Hieronymus had corrected it. He had done his job. He had done it well. That was the realization. That was the truth he could not escape. He had not been cruel. He had not been malicious. He had simply been efficient. He had followed procedure. He had submitted the requisition because that was what the Codex Labrum recommended. That was what the system required. And the system was not wrong. The system could not be wrong. The system was the Imperium. To question the system was to question the Imperium itself. But Tobin Vex had been a person. And now he was ash, floating in space, forgotten. Hieronymus sat at his desk, stared at his ledgers, stared at the names waiting to be processed. He picked up his quill, hesitated, set it down. He sat there for a long time, not moving, not thinking, just sitting. Then he picked up the quill again. He had work to do. He had quotas to meet. He had requisitions to file. The system required it. He continued. There are others who understand, others who see the truth and carry it with them, heavy and silent. On Forge Worlds, Magi oversee the processing of thousands of subjects each day. They do not think of them as people. They cannot afford to. The work would be impossible if they did. They think of them as materials, components, flesh to be refined, optimized, repurposed. But some of them, in quiet moments, remember that they were people once too, before the augments, before the mechadendrites and the neural implants and the slow transformation into something more machine than man. They remember having families, having names, having lives that were their own. They do not speak of this. It would be inefficient. It would be heretical, perhaps. The Omnissiah requires service. The flesh is weak, the machine is pure. These are the truths they have accepted. These are the truths that allow them to continue. But late at night, in the depths of the forged temples, when the work is done and the servitors stand in their charging alcoves, humming softly in the darkness, some of the magi pause. They look at the servitors. They wonder if the servitors dream, if somewhere in the burned-out ruins of their minds some ghost of memory remains, some fragment of the person they were. The magi tell themselves no. The lobotomy is thorough. The person is gone. What remains is only function, only purpose, only the sacred work of the Omnissiah. They tell themselves this. They must tell themselves this, because if they did not, they would have to confront what they have become, what they have helped create. A system that consumes people and renders them into tools. A system that treats humanity as raw material. A system that survives by burning its own children. The Imperium is not evil. Evil requires intention. Evil requires choice. The Imperium is simply a machine. A vast, incomprehensible machine that grinds forward because that is what it was built to do. It does not hate the people it consumes. It does not love them. It does not think of them at all. It simply uses them. Because that is efficient. Because that is necessary. Because that is how it survives. And everyone who serves the Imperium, from the lowest scribe to the highest fabricator general, is part of that machine. They are cogs in the mechanism. They file the requisitions. They approve the tithes. They perform the procedures. They do their duty. They tell themselves it is necessary. They tell themselves there is no other way. They tell themselves the Imperium must survive no matter the cost. And they are right. The Imperium must survive. The galaxy is hostile. Humanity is beset on all sides by xenos, by heretics, by daemons. Without the Imperium, humanity would be consumed. It would be scattered, enslaved, extinguished. The Imperium is the shield that protects humanity. It is the wall that holds back the darkness, but it is also the grinder that feeds on humanity, the furnace that burns them, the machine that renders them down. And these two truths exist together, inseparable. The Imperium saves humanity by consuming it. It protects the species by sacrificing the individual. It endures by eating its children. This is the calculus of survival. This is the price of existence in the 41st millennium, and everyone knows it. Everyone accepts it. Because what else can they do? There are hierarchies even among the reconstituted. The simplest servitors are little more than walking tools. They are fitted with industrial equipment, saws, drills, welders, lifters, and sent to work in the depths of manufactorums and shipholds. They are not expected to last long. The work is brutal. The environments are hostile. When they break, they are replaced. Their bodies are rendered down for parts. Their organic components are incinerated. Nothing is wasted. These are the servitors that people see every day. They are so common that they become invisible. You pass them in corridors. You work alongside them in factories. You do not think about them. They are furniture. They are equipment. More complex servitors are assigned to specialized tasks. Gun servitors, bolted to defensive positions, their arms replaced with heavy weapons. They stand motionless for years, waiting. When the enemy comes, they fire. They do not feel fear. They do not feel anything. They simply execute their function until they are destroyed or the threat is eliminated. Medicae servitors assist apothecaries and chirurgians. Their hands have been replaced with surgical tools, scalpels, bone saws, cauterizing irons. They can perform basic procedures with perfect precision, faster and more reliably than any human assistant. They do not tire, they do not flinch, they do not make mistakes, but they also do not understand. They follow protocols. If the patient deviates from expected parameters, if something goes wrong, they continue their procedure anyway. They will cut and saw and cauterize until told to stop, even if the patient is already dead. Scribal servitors transcribe documents. Their hands fly across parchment or data slates at inhuman speed. Their brains have been rewired to process language, to copy without error. They can work for days without rest, but they do not comprehend what they are writing. They are copying machines made of flesh. Tech adepts use them extensively. It is more reliable than trusting human scribes who make errors, who grow tired, who might question what they are transcribing. The servitor copies everything. It does not judge, it does not refuse. Combat servitors are among the most disturbing. They are heavily augmented, their bodies reinforced with armor plating, their limbs replaced with weapons, chain blades, flamers, plasma guns. They are deployed in war zones, in boarding actions, in urban combat. They walk forward without fear, without hesitation, soaking up enemy fire until they fall. They are effective. They do not break morale. They do not retreat. But they lack the adaptability of human soldiers. They follow their programming rigidly. If the situation changes, if the enemy does something unexpected, the combat servitor continues its last command until destroyed or until a new command overrides it. Generals use them as expendable shock troops. Send them forward to draw fire, to clear fortifications, to absorb the first wave of enemy response. The human soldiers follow behind, stepping over the broken servitors, grateful they are not the ones being sacrificed. No one mourns the combat servitors. They were criminals, probably, heretics, traitors, people who deserved their fate. That is what the soldiers tell themselves. That is what they must believe. And then there are the cherubs. These are made from children, infants, toddlers, the very young. Their bodies are small, easily modified. Wings are grafted to their backs, mechanical things, feathered with synth skin. Antigrav units are implanted in their chests. Their faces are left intact, preserved with embalming chemicals, made to look serene. They flutter through the halls of cathedrals, through the chambers of inquisitors, through the sanctums of the ecclesiarchy. They carry scrolls and seals. They sing hymns in voices that are piped through vox grills, sweet and empty. They are called angels. They are called blessings. Cardinals surround themselves with cherubs as symbols of purity and devotion. The ecclesiarchy justifies this easily. The children were going to die. They were sick or starving or abandoned. By becoming cherubs, they serve the emperor. They bring beauty to his servants. They glorify his Imperium. This is what the faithful believe. This is what they tell themselves when they see the cherubs floating past, their empty eyes glowing with soft light, their small hands clutching parchment. But there are those who cannot look at the cherubs without feeling something twist inside them. Something wrong, something broken. They do not voice this. To question the cherubs is to question the ecclesiarchy. To question the ecclesiarchy is heresy. So they stay silent, they look away, they try not to think about it, and the cherubs continue to flutter through the halls, beautiful and dead, singing praises they do not understand. If there is awareness, it is not conscious, it is not thought, it is something deeper, something older, the hindbrain still functioning, the amygdala still processing stimuli, the body still sending signals. The servitor lifts a crate. Its hydraulic arms strain against the weight. Sensors in the joints register stress. Warnings flicker through the neural shunt. The servitor adjusts its grip, redistributes the load. The warnings stop. It carries the crate across the hold. Its treads grip the metal floor with magnetic pulses. It moves in a straight line, the most efficient path. It does not think about where it is going. It simply goes. It sets the crate down, releases its grip, returns to the starting position, waits for the next command. There is no impatience in the waiting, no boredom, no sense of time passing. There is only stillness. The servitor stands, its optical sensors tracking movement but interpreting nothing. It is ready. It is always ready. Sometimes there is a glitch, a fragment of corrupted code in the neural shunt, a synapse firing out of sequence. The servitor pauses. Its head tilts. Its sensors flicker. Is there something there? Some echo of the person it was? The tech priests would say no. They would say this is merely a malfunction, a corrupted subroutine, nothing more. The servitor is brought to a diagnostic terminal. Its neural shunt is accessed. The errors are purged. The code is corrected. The servitor is rebooted. It returns to its tasks. The glitch is gone. But what if there is something? What if, buried in the brainstem, in the deep structures that even the lobotomy could not fully erase, some fragment remains? Not memory exactly, not personality, but something, the shape of a hand, once familiar, the sound of a voice, long forgotten, the feeling of sunlight though the servitor has never seen the sun. These things have no context. They are isolated sensations, floating in the void where consciousness used to be. They mean nothing, they cannot be interpreted. They are just noise in the system, but they are there. And perhaps in some way we cannot understand, the servitor suffers, not consciously, not in a way it can articulate. but in the way a machine suffers when forced to operate beyond its tolerances, in the way flesh suffers when grafted to metal, in the way a mind suffers when burned away and left hollow. Or perhaps there is nothing. Perhaps the Servitor is exactly what the Mechanicus says it is, a tool, an object, a thing. We will never know. The Servitor cannot tell us, and we cannot ask. The worst part is not the pain. The worst part is not the loss of self. The worst part is that it works. The manufactorums meet their quotas, the ships are crewed, the armies are reinforced, the forge worlds produce their tithes, the Imperium grinds forward century after century, consuming itself to survive. And no one questions it. No one asks if there might be another way. No one suggests that perhaps servitors should not be made from people. No one wonders if the Imperium could function without burning its citizens as fuel. Because the answer is obvious. The Imperium could not survive without servitors. There are not enough machines. There are not enough resources. There is only humanity, endless and expendable, the one resource that never runs out. And so the system continues. The lists are compiled, the names are added, the transports arrive, the servitors are made, billions of them, every year, on every world, in every system. Somewhere, right now, someone is being collected, someone is being processed, someone is being transformed from a person into a tool. It might be a criminal, it might be a debtor, it might be someone who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Someone whose name appeared on a list because a scribe was tired, because a quota needed to be filled, because the system required it. It does not matter who they were, it does not matter what they did. They are gone now. They are servitors. And the servitors do not remember. This is the mercy of the Imperium. This is the kindness it offers. It does not kill you. It does not execute you. It simply repurposes you. You continue to exist. Your body continues to function. You continue to serve. You are useful. You have value. You have purpose. You simply no longer have yourself. 347 years after Tobin Vex was reconstituted, the transport ship Redemption's weight was decommissioned. It was old, its hull compromised by micrometeorite impacts and warp exposure. Its systems were failing. It was no longer economical to maintain. The ship was sent to a scrapyard orbiting a dead moon in the Ghoul stars. There, vast machines tore it apart, section by section, reclaiming the metal for new constructions. The crew was reassigned. The cargo was transferred. The servitors were offloaded. Most were still functional. They were sold to other vessels, other installations. Some were too damaged or too specialized. These were marked for disposal. Servitor Unit HT-47281L3 was among them. Over the centuries, its body had deteriorated. The hydraulic claws had worn out, replaced twice, but now failing again. The mag-locked treads were cracked. The rebreather leaked. The optical sensors were dim. It had been scheduled for maintenance many times. The requests were always delayed. There were always more urgent priorities. The servitor continued to work, its body slowly breaking down until it could no longer function effectively. When the tech priests evaluated it, they calculated the cost of repairs. New claws, new treads, new sensors. The total exceeded the cost of processing a new servitor. The decision was simple. Servitor Unit HT-47-9281L3 was marked for disposal. It was loaded onto a bulk conveyor with other obsolete equipment. Broken machinery, scrap metal, organic waste. The conveyor fed into an industrial incinerator, a furnace large enough to consume entire decks of ship superstructure. The servitor waited on the conveyor. It did not move. It did not resist. It simply waited, as it had waited for 347 years. The conveyor moved forward. The heat from the furnace grew intense. The servitor's sensors registered the temperature. Warnings flickered in its neural shunt. It did not react to the warnings. It had no capacity to react. It simply recorded the data and waited. The conveyor carried it to the edge of the furnace, then over. The servitor fell into the flames. Its flesh ignited instantly. The synth skin blackened and curled. The biological components burst as their moisture turned to steam. The metal parts heated to orange, then white, then melted into slag. There was no ceremony, no prayer, no acknowledgement that this had once been a person named Tobin Vex, who had worked in a textile manufactorum, who had been late to his shift 3 times, who had wanted small things, enough food, enough sleep, perhaps a woman who might bear his children. None of that mattered. None of it had ever mattered. Tobin Vex had been rendered down, used, and discarded. The Imperium had extracted every measure of value from his body. Now there was nothing left. The flames consumed him. The smoke rose through vents into the void. The ash was ejected into space where it would drift forever among the stars. His name had been deleted from all records centuries ago. His ident chip had been filed and archived, then lost in a data purge. His hab unit in Hive Cities had been reassigned 40 times over. The manufactorum where he worked had been closed, converted to a munitions factory, then destroyed in a war against a xenos incursion. No one remembered Tobin Vex. No one knew he had existed. He left no mark on the Imperium. He changed nothing. He mattered to no one. He had been useful, and then he was not, and so he was gone. This is the fate that awaits billions. This is the truth that everyone knows and no one speaks. You will be used, and when you are no longer useful, you will be discarded. The Imperium does not care about you. It never did. It only cares about what you can provide, your labor, your body, your obedience, and when it has taken everything, it will throw you away without a second thought. In the Reconstitution Temple Primus, in the depths of Hive Cities, the tech priests continue their work. They have continued for centuries. They will continue for centuries more. They process the subjects that are brought to them. They perform the sacred rites of reconstitution. They transform flesh into servitors, inefficiency into utility, waste into purpose. They chant their litanies as they work. The prayers are old, passed down through generations of tech priests, repeated so many times that they have become automatic. The words are a rhythm, a beat that matches the work. Blessed is the Omnissiah, who provides the knowledge. Blessed is the machine which does not falter. Blessed is the servitor, who serves without question. Blessed is the flesh when it is joined with steel. The tech priests believe these words. They must believe them. Without faith, the work would be unbearable. With faith, it is holy, it is necessary, it is good. They finish a procedure. Another servitor is complete. It is activated. It stands, waiting for its first command. Its optical sensors glow. Its rebreather hisses. It is ready. The tech priest who created it pauses, looks at the servitor. For a moment, just a moment, the tech priest wonders if the servitor knows what it has lost. If somewhere in the circuits and burned neurons, some awareness remains, then the moment passes. The tech priest dismisses the thought. The servitor is a tool, nothing more. To think otherwise is to court doubt, and doubt is the path to malfunction, to heresy. The tech priest makes the sign of the cog, turns away. There are more subjects waiting, more work to be done. The Imperium requires servitors, the Omnissiah demands service, and so the work continues, forever. Somewhere in the Imperium right now, someone is being late to their shift. Someone is falling into debt. Someone is being injured in an accident. Someone is simply existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. Their name is being added to a list. They do not know it yet. They will not know until the Arbites arrive. And by then, it will be too late. There is no appeal. There is no mercy. There is only the list, and the list is absolute. They will be collected. They will be processed. They will become servitors, and the Imperium will continue. It will grind forward, consuming its citizens, burning them as fuel, using them as tools. It will do this because it must, or because it believes it must, and the difference no longer matters. The people of the Imperium know this. They have always known. They see the servitors every day. They know where they come from. They know it could be them, but they do not speak of it. They keep their heads down. They work harder, they pray louder, they try to be useful because usefulness is the only protection they have. But it is not enough. It has never been enough, because the Imperium does not care about your usefulness. It cares about its needs. And when it needs servitors, it will take you. It will take anyone. It will take everyone, eventually. This is the truth beneath the Imperium. This is the horror that no one acknowledges. You are not a citizen, you are not a person, you are a resource, and resources exist to be used. The Imperium tells you that you matter, that you serve the Emperor, that your sacrifice has meaning. It is lying. You do not matter. You never mattered. You are one person among trillions, and when you are gone, the Imperium will not notice. It will not mourn. It will not remember. It will simply continue, as it always has, as it always will. Forever. Somewhere in Hive Tertius, in Archive Section 47J, subsection Gamma, a young scribe sits at a desk. The scribe has been assigned to reconcile efficiency reports. It is tedious work. The scribe has been awake for many hours. The quill is heavy in their hand. The scribe reviews the reports from a manufactorum. Output has fallen. Workers have been tardy. The scribe knows what must be done. It is written in the Codex Laborum. It is procedure. The scribe prepares a requisition, lists the names, 14 workers, 14 people. The scribe does not know them, has never met them. They are just names, just numbers. The scribe hesitates. The quill hovers over the parchment. There is a moment, just a moment, where the scribe wonders where these people will go, wonders what will happen to them, wonders if this is right. Then the scribe remembers the quotas, the consequences of failure, the way the system works. The scribe remembers that this is how it has always been. This is how it must be. The scribe signs the requisition. Then the scribe remembers the quotas, the consequences of failure, the way the system works. The scribe remembers that this is how it has always been. This is how it must be. The scribe signs the requisition. It is submitted. It is approved within the hour. The names are transmitted to the Mechanicus. The arbites are dispatched. The workers will be collected. They will be processed. They will become servitors. The scribe files the requisition, moves to the next report. There are always more reports, always more discrepancies, always more work. The scribe does not think about the names, does not wonder, does not question, because that is how the system works. That is how the Imperium survives, by consuming its children, by burning people, by turning them into tools forever. The Emperor protects, the machine endures, the flesh is weak. Blessed is the Servitor, for it serves without question. Blessed is the Mechanicus, for it sanctifies the unworthy. Blessed is the Imperium, for it uses all things, even you, especially you.